So, hello everyone. Today I have another Petanque coach interview with one of my favourite young players, the legend that is Kai Sheffield, who I've known from a very small age, but I've seen him rising through the ranks. So, thank you for joining me today, Kai.
No problem, mate. It's really good to actually be here, and we appreciate it a little bit. Yeah, happy to be
You
here.
know, it's funny because I've known you for a long time, but you're still a very young player.
Yeah, to be fair, I was when you were asking me the questions, I was thinking, God, I've been playing for nearly 20 years, and I'm only 23. I was like, that doesn't really make too much sense. But yeah, it's pretty much been my life forever. So yeah,
It has, and it's I've seen, and obviously we used to be part of the same region in Chiltern, and I used to play at the Bucks Head, and you were always down there, and your family were always involved, and now the family that you live with now, you're all heavily involved. So where where did it start? What
funny
happened?
enough, I am a Petanque baby. So my mum and dad met at Green Sands. Obviously, dad being Joe Sheffield, living in East Midlands, Leicester region, and my mum Lauren, who no longer plays, but did play when I was well, before I was born and stuff. And then my mum also being with my stepdad Steve Knoll, who obviously Chiltern legend. So having a dad and a stepdad who both love the sport, absolutely love the sport, it was always bound to happen, really, wasn't it?
You were kind of, set in stone.
Yeah.
And I know that you've been guided by different people throughout, and I know Steve was heavily involved with you at a younger age, and I know your mum Lauren as well, and your granddad and everything, and it's it's like you were destined to be where you are now because of the people who you've surrounded yourself with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they obviously my younger years having dad in Leicester. Every time I'd go up there, would do like the Big East Midlands junior stuff with Tony Moulding, and there'll be loads of juniors. See Daniel Rain, people like that. And then Steve, near enough every day after school at primary school, he'd pick me up. We'd go to the pub, play loads of games, do shooting, do singles, and then obviously playing for Chiltern, I was always around top players. The Bucks Head, you had all of like Jack, Sam, Reese, Ross, all the youngsters coming up, and then Sports Bar with Jez and Jack again and Sarah and all these top players in Chiltern. And obviously just having the great friendship that I have had with Jay led me to ended up being here after a few little life changes, and now I'm around more top players, but from Kent. And yeah, I think when you surround yourself with these players, it gives you that kind of drive to want to be better as well.
It's interesting you mentioned about drive because you can't hang around with some of the best players and be mediocre. They just won't allow it. Well, how did you raise your game?
um,
Because you weren't born brilliant. Nobody is.
no,
Nobody
no.
comes in,
I
and
I
everyone says
think
natural talent and all of that. But
I, I think I've always had the ability. I think I've always been able to play shots. Like I remember as a junior being able to lob and spin and things like that. But my problem's always been my head. It's always been my headspace. If it's confidence, lack of that confidence, getting down on myself too quickly, things like this. And then obviously growing up outside the world outside of Petanque, if you've got a lot of stuff going on, trying to go to Petanque and be focused and be ready is pretty hard. And I think my biggest problem was my outside things. For example, I had stuff going on as a child, had to look after my parents and stuff, but like I love them all the more for it. But through those little things and little life happenings, at one point in my life, I was like a drug addict. So Petanque very much become something that I wasn't that interested in, or I'd go to Petanque and it used to be my escape, and then it become more of a problem. It was like, oh God, I've got Petanque. I'm at Petanque. I've got to hit the ball. I'm not thinking about hitting the ball. I'm thinking about all my life problems. But now, as a 23-year-old man who's had a lot of support from family and the people in this house and stuff like that, I've sorted my head out. I'm now just passionate about life in general, not just Petanque, but I've learned to compartmentalize my life. So now when I'm at Petanque, it's just Petanque. And I think that's what's really elevated my game. I think obviously the people I play with and their mentality towards the sport as well is a massive factor in that. But I think it's my main thing for myself. I think it's clearing my head and having that confidence that no, you are a top player now, and yeah, the world's my oyster kind of thing.
I think it's a beautiful outlook to have because to be able to compartmentalize, as you've said, and to almost say, right, this is the stuff I'm having to deal with. This could be my bad boss, or it could be, money worries or girlfriend giving me grief, whatever it is. You just sort of, I'm just going to leave that there. Here's the game. Here's where I am here and now. That's difficult. How did you develop that ability?
Well, I think, if I'm being honest, the last few years of my life has been very, very manic. I've had a lot of trauma, should we say. But through that, I've always wanted the help. I've had a lot of support, so things like therapy, counseling, and just I'm a massive advocate for counseling. I know it doesn't work for everyone or therapy, things like that, but for me, it's definitely worked. Being able to offload some of my problems and just not have so much going on in my brain, like to be able to just let off some of that stuff. And yeah, I think I've just learned through the things I've gone through that if I can get through that, what's a game of petanque? What's this? It's just it's fun. It's what I want to do. I want to play. I want to enjoy myself. If I'm not enjoying myself, why am I doing it? And I think that's the main thing. It's separating. It's why are you doing it at the end of the day? Why are we playing this sport? We want to be competitive, but also we love the game. Well, why am I going to go and do something if I don't want to love and do it? So I always just try and be now in the best headspace possible so that I play my best and I just enjoy doing it while I'm playing.
It's quite interesting because it's a paradox because you said you were having trouble with being down on yourself and being self-critical and maybe over expectation, and now are totally different. Now I'm going to enjoy my ball and I'm going to play the game and have fun. And for me, I always play my best ball when I'm smiling and I'm having fun. I see it with other players when they're enjoying themselves. It's like a dream. It's And with you, you've had issues and you're freely happy to talk about and everything. We won't go into them. But issues that are above and beyond a whinging partner or a difficult boss or whichever. But to be able to turn up and play and be happy and play with a smile on your face, kudos. Yeah,
No, I appreciate that. I do
that,
appreciate that.
that's life and petanque. It builds a character within us. I th It's weird because I often think when I look back, just to talk, let's talk about me now, because
Yeah,
that's very
absolutely.
important, right? I often think that my own traumas and my own difficulties and my own problems in my life led to the ability to suffer in ultra marathons, Ironman triathlons, difficulties with bosses, relationships, whatever it was. I built a veneer and a toughness. And I'm guessing hallucinating that maybe this is helping you now because you
Yeah.
don't just go through all that stuff and not come out stronger.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I feel if you we had this same interview maybe 3 4 years ago, it'd be completely different. I'd be a shell of myself. I wouldn't be anywhere near as confident to even do this, and it would be a very different outlook on the world of petanque, on the world of life. So yeah, 100%. Going through these things have made me way stronger. It's made me who I am, and of course, you wish some of it wouldn't have happened, 100 million%. But at the same time, if it didn't, I maybe not be who I am now. And I actually, for the not for the first time in my life, but for the last few years, I've actually really started to love myself, which I think is a massive thing as well. And yeah, I think because of these things and because of how I've really, really worked on my mental state and dealing with my problems, it's just made me enjoy life and enjoy Petanque that a little bit more. And it's definitely, definitely made my game better. That would be my main thing.
I think that's possibly one of the best insights anyone's ever given me. in these interviews because lots of people have a lot of love for you, and you didn't have the love for you, and now you do. And so the love then becomes it's a massive snowball that raises your game and it raises yourself and who you are. And to see the strength in you and the happiness in you and the relaxation and to see you in the game, and it's fabulous. It's really delightful for me. So, from the youngster that I used to know and lark around with, and kick your ass this week, and then it's it's a wonderful testament to the game because I often say Petanque is life, and it is to many many extents. So, what's it taught you? What's the game taught you?
Oh, I think Petanque taught me loads of different things from loads of different ages. I think from being a young kid, definitely taught me how to lose. Like playing against people like Steve and my dad and Jack and Ross and Reese and Sam and you, playing in Chilton as a whole, no one's going to let you win. No one's going to let you win a game of Petanque, and neither should they. Like, because of that, you build your resilience. And then when you start getting a few points and you start winning, it's like, oh yeah, I feel pretty good now. Like I'm getting better. Um, it's definitely, yeah, so humble. It's taught me how to lose. It's definitely taught me how to be a bit more confident. I've always said this even at school. Like, it's not that I wasn't confident at school. I had like my group of mates and stuff. But when hardships come about, I did kind of become a bit more of a shell. But when I was at Petanque, I was always a lot more, I felt a lot more alive. I felt a lot more confident when I'm on the terrain and you hit a ball or you make a great point and you get that thrill that you just feel good. I would always feel good at Petanque. And I think I'm obviously I work in a school like Dean and Jason. I'm a massive advocate for having a hobby, and I try and tell the kids all the time like you need a hobby. You definitely need a hobby. It's like the best distraction. It's better than drugs. It's better than all the other things. Having a hobby, something that's a good distraction to life. Um, with that as well, being able to talk to adults from a young age. I think there's a lot of kids nowadays that don't really know how to communicate that well. And I think I probably communicate better with people older than me than I do people my own age, for being honest. I think I've always found that. I've always got along well with people a lot older than me and being polite, and just being nice. I think I'd hope to think I'm a pretty good human being. I think there's a lot of positive role models I've had in Petanque that I've learned from. There's also a lot of negative people in Petanque that I've learned not to be
There
like.
is.
So there is both sides to that as well. But yeah, Petanque's taught me loads, loads and loads. I don't think there's a list long enough for how much Petanque has taught me.
Well, for me, and seeing you, it obviously teaches win, lose, camaraderie, cohesion, trust, empathy. It's the As you say, the superlatives just go on and on and on, but it's um it's a great game to be involved in. And hobbies, you mentioned that it because when I see youngsters and had it with my own children and things, when they were heavily involved in a hobby, whether it was swimming or karate or whatever it was, it gave them a purpose, it gave them a will, it gave them a drive and something to channel energy into and focus into. And do you think your petanque was so good for that? Because others would drift into gaming or
But
partying.
don't get me wrong, I've other hobbies as well. I'm a gamer even now. I still love gaming. Obviously, when I was going through, I had quite a big rebellious stage at one point in my life, and I was smoking a lot of weed and doing other drugs and all of that. That did happen. Patong was still there. Like I've always played. People would always know that I'm around, but very much a different Kai at that time. The drive wasn't there. It was more I enjoyed being at Petanque and I enjoyed the people of Petanque, but it wasn't my main focus. It wasn't my main hobby. Um, but I remember as a kid, as a young junior, Petanque was by far my main hobby. I didn't really do anything else. I never played in the football team, never done other stuff like that. It was always Petanque. Every weekend is Petanque, after school Petanque, things like that. Me and Steve built a terrain in our garden. I always remember in Leicester, my dad had a little, it was only like a couple meters by a couple meters, but he would just shoot all day, shoot bang, bang, bang. So we'd always be practicing, always be playing. Yeah, it's definitely my main hobby, but I do have other stuff as well. I think it's good to always have try and have a few hobbies. Say, I know a lot of people love music and things like that. Just doesn't have to be much.
So, what advice, as you're still a young player, would you give to other young players in the sport who are maybe just starting or coming through the ranks?
My main thing. Okay, no, number one, don't do drugs. Don't do drugs, kids. But
They
no,
test you now.
yeah, yeah. But no, my Petanque one would just be to enjoy it. I think when you're a junior, a lot of pressure gets put on players. Like I played recently with Amy Geddes, and she was explaining to me how like she does feel quite a lot of pressure because obviously a lot of people are talking about her, and I'm one of those people. I've said to her that I think she's got really, really, really good potential. Like you see the mindset already at such a young age. But I was telling her like pressure's good. It's always good to work on pressure, but for someone so young, it's not it's not something you need a lot of. While you're still so young and you're in the junior team and things like that, just enjoy the game because you don't want it to become a thing where you no longer love the sport. And for example, like Daniel Rain. Now, I love Daniel. Daniel is one of my really close mates in Petanque, but that pressure in the end kind of got to him. And then he lost his love for the sport. And now he doesn't play. And I think he was a great kid, great player at one point. And I don't want the same thing to happen to the young juniors coming up. Like, just enjoy the sport while you're so young. You've got so long ahead of you to feel that pressure and all the other stuff. When you go away, of course, there's going to be pressure, but that's all part of learning. Like when I was a junior, I remember my first ever championships. My first ball I threw was probably flipping awful. Most people's are because it's like you're shaking and you're against France and you're thinking, oh God, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was, kind of thing. But it's all learning experiences, and over time you realize like you cope better with the pressure. I think
So, do you think that pressure is applied from expectation of yourself or others or parents or a combination?
all three. Yeah, I don't. I never really felt pressure from my parents at all, really, for Petanque. I like my dad and Steve, both very supportive. Obviously, like in their own rights, very good players, very good shooters. But they never put the pressure on me of like, if we're in the middle of a game and I miss a shot, they're not going to be bombarding me or anything like that. Absolutely not. They're very, very supportive. Um, Pressure on myself, definitely. Probably my biggest one. My thing for pressure is more when it comes to the team dynamic. I hate the fact that I'm letting my team down. That's my biggest thing. If I miss a shot, it's not if say if I'm playing with Jason, if Jason misses 5 shots in a row, I'm not thinking, oh, for goodness sake, Jason, you're so rubbish. Like, why are you missing shots? Absolutely not. But he could do that, and then I could miss my one shot, and I'll think, oh my God, why have you missed? Why have you missed? That was so important. Why have you done that? I'm very much a self-critique person. So my pressure was mainly on myself. And of course, there's always that other bit of like others. So being a junior, I remember like coaches, I would feel the pressure of thinking, oh God, like, and in a way, wearing that England top, you're like, oh God, I'm letting the whole country down in a way. I've definitely felt that burden as well, going to juniors and even the Esquires and not doing as well as I know we could have done, not performing, losing against teams that you think, wow, like we shouldn't be losing this game. And it is embarrassing. It hurts a lot, and the pressure's always there. But I think it is all learning experiences. And like you said, for the juniors, 100% just enjoy the game, just enjoy the sport.
I think that is the biggest tip because it removes that pressure, that expectation, that label of potential, which can be crushing for some people. And they need to develop the backbone and be allowed just to have fun and be kids and just lark around. I distinctly remember my daughter, going off topic here, very, very gifted badminton player, really, really good. And when she was under the guise of the Olympic silver medalist at the time and she was training her, the pressure was huge. But when she went to just a lark around tournament where it was schools playing against each other, her and her teammates didn't have that. And they were laughing and joking and playing crazy shots. And I'm watching it thinking, this is a different player.
Yeah.
And it was just, they were allowed just to be kids. And I think there's a lesson there for the powers that be. Just let kids be kids. Would you
I
agree?
used to think it's a great example from that like, with League. When you play League, that's easy. Isn't League the easiest thing you've ever played when it comes to Petanque? Or for most people, practice. When you're in practice, you can almost throw a ball backwards and you're going to hit that ball. Like it's ridiculous. But there's different pressures to different things. I always remember like when I wasn't as confident, and say if I'm going to an SSEs or titles weekend, things like that, and I feel a bit more pressure, but I'm not in the right headspace, I'd find I'm missing more ball in one game there than I have in league nights, whole league nights. Like the whole of league, I've missed more ball in one game than I have the whole of league. How does that make sense? But it's the different pressures.
It's funny because the pressure mostly is here,
100%.
compartmentalized and self-imposed, and it causes us to grip and it causes us to release badly and to worry about outcome rather than focusing on process, which I blither on about all the time. And it's easy to say, but the more you take that away and allow just your play to be your practice, just to have fun, the easier it becomes to play under that pressure. And the more times you're exposed to it.
Oh, that's the biggest thing. When it gets to that next level, when we're going out, not out of the juniors, because obviously when they go to their championships, it's the same. But when you're talking about the elite players, when they're going abroad, the pressure is completely different. You can only ever gain that from experience. That you can't practice that, you can't teach that. That's all from going abroad, playing those games, playing against those teams. It's the only way you learn that. And I've in the past like been a bit of a bottle job when it comes to certain things like big shots, important shots, and that I would get down on myself a little bit and be like, "Fucking hell, what is wrong with you?" Like Jason's a good example. I normally think when I play with Jason, if there's a shot for game, 9 times out of 10 he's going to hit it. Whereas I used to be a bit more like, I might not hit it. Like, am I going to hit it? I think this year that's been one of my big improvements. I think I've got a lot better with those pressure shots. Don't get me wrong, we all still miss them, but I think that's a part of my game that's definitely increased, and I think that's through the going abroad, playing more, playing with these teams, playing against better teams, and it all is just through experience.
I think if you learn to release the outcome,
Mm.
you'll find you'll go through the roof. Have had interesting conversations with some of the top French players, and they literally. I'm going to be recording some of them and putting it on here because and trying to translate them in my reasonable French. They literally say they don't care, which seems counterintuitive because you must care. But they say, no, 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 because once you care, it changes the dynamic of it's just throwing a ball onto a ball. It's just a
Yeah,
game.
when you care, the emotions come in. And like you said, that's when the release happens, you grip it a bit tighter and things like that. I understand that, their way of thinking.
Yeah.
Jason says all the time, when I was trying to get better at shooting, he says to me, to be a good shooter, you just need to have a clear brain. Don't think, be a robot, just hit the ball. Don't think, don't think, don't think, don't think.
I think once you think and your brain takes over, it overanalyzes. And then you start concentrating on too many things. In the CIEP training that I went to earlier in the year, literally they said, well, shooting's quite easy. You have to think of 156 things before you actually let go of the ball. But if you thought of every single one of those things, you wouldn't even enter the circle
Yeah.
because it is too much. It's like, right, I've got to put my feet on the ground. Am I balanced? Is one foot in front of the other? Am I lifting my foot? Am I too unstable? Is my knee cocked? Am I dipping my shoulder? And it's, oh my God,
Overload.
overload.
Bit overload, yeah.
It's just you're larking around, throwing a few ball. You're just bang, 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 bang. Oh, this is easy. This game in a game. Ah, it's so tight. I can't do anything. So you've achieved some phenomenal things. I know you've been junior worlds, Esquires for Europeans. You're now going into the qualifier for the worlds. Chapeau to you, young man. How did that feel to know that you've been chosen?
It felt really good. Obviously, like Scott should have been going in that team, but it's obviously stopped playing now. I do feel like for the first time in my Petanque career this year, I have really shown others that I have the ability and that I actually am one of the top players. And I believe that myself now that I'm actually one of the top players, which I think for the first time is like a great feeling. It's really nice to actually believe in myself a little bit more. And yeah, Martin sent me a really nice message actually saying that like obviously he'd asked the team and he believes that I'm the right fit for that team. And obviously next year that is looking like it's going to be our team for the rankings as well. So it'll be great experience. And hopefully, like I said, it'll be I'm honoured to put the badge back on, obviously, and hopefully I do England proud and we get qualified.
I'm sure you're going to have an awful lot of supporters cheering you on with every single shot, but don't let their expectation diminish your excitement and your thrill, because that will carry another pressure in its own right. Because imposter syndrome is it's an opponent within our heads that we have to overcome. It's the expectation, potential, everything where we think we're maybe not good enough, but we know we are, and it's this incongruence within our minds. You are now, I believe, because you're so happy in your game and you're so happy in yourself, that's another opponent you've gone smacked you out of the park.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's weird. I was walking my dog the other day and I was thinking to myself, like, okay, I actually do deserve this. I was like, this isn't a thing anymore. If I feel like maybe I shouldn't be there, maybe it shouldn't be me. I actually was like, no, you know what? I think this year you've actually earned this. And well, nothing against the team that went because obviously that was them. But at the rankings, I felt like I was the best player there on that day. And for me to say that, like I think I'm quite a humble person, but I felt insane. I felt like I couldn't do anything wrong that weekend. Me and my team, nothing against my team either, because they were incredible considering we were put together so last minute. Like Jeremy Huntley, Sam, and Ben Gallimore, we did not just bend over and let them absolutely destroy us. We really put up a fight. But obviously with Scott and everything with him, I thought he's not playing that much this year. Obviously, he's still an absolute legend of the sport, and rightfully so. It's his last year, it was his send off and all of that. But in my head, I feel like I should be there. I feel like I should be going away, and that almost drove me more than anything. It wasn't a thing of, oh, I'm not there, so I'm gonna sulk. It was a thing of like, no, I'm gonna be there. Like that is gonna be me eventually. So yeah,
Going to be you by sheer force of will, application, and deserving, not just because people say, "Oh, Kai's got the potential," and all of these labels, but and you know what? And what inspired you to pursue this game at the top level, and what keeps you motivated even now?
yeah. When I was a junior, I always like obviously being around all the top players. It's always in your head thinking, "Oh, one day I'll be as good as he is. One day I'll be as good as he is," kind of thing. Um, and I've always known that I've had like the ability. The ability for me has never been a thing. I've always known how to throw a ball. I look at some people sometimes and I think, "Wow, I don't know how you've managed to learn that technique," because that might blows my mind a little bit. But so I've always felt like I have the Petanque brain, but it was that the drive initially wasn't always there. Then obviously had the little blip, and I thought maybe this isn't something that I'm even going to carry on pursuing for much longer. And then because of these lot in this house, like really getting me out of the instead of I'm spending my weekends doing drugs, I'm now coming down here. And even if there's not a competition and we're playing in the garden, we're practicing. And then it becomes, okay, we're playing a bit more, we're playing a bit more, playing a bit more. And even at first, it might not necessarily be playing with like Dean and Jay. It might be like me and Aston playing, me and Alex playing. And then obviously me and Jay played a couple things together, and over time we just play little opens and little more comps and more comps. Even playing league. My first year here, I didn't actually play for Kent. I was still playing for Chiltern, but they let me play in the Kent league, and I paid my money. So then every weekend I'm playing with Jay or Dean or Alex, and eventually it's like okay, now these are like the top of the sport at the minute. They are the best players. Why wouldn't I want to improve my game? And then over time, I'm realizing, oh, I'm already getting way better. I'm already getting way better. I'm already getting way better. And don't get me wrong, it still took a little bit of time. I still had my self doubts, and Jay used to say it all the time. Like we'd play together, and he would know how to kind of control me a little bit. When I miss a few shots, I get down on myself and I start getting angry, and I might shout a little bit or I might swear a little bit. And he's like, mate, you're showing too much. You're showing too much emotion. He said, like, just calm. He said, you just missed the ball. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And Dean the same. Dean really supportive with that stuff. And then over time, and I think this year more than ever, that's kind of that side of me's gone away. It still comes out. Don't get me wrong. We had a league game this year, and I literally left. I was like, no, I'm subbing out. I cannot play. This is awful. What am I doing? I'm rubbish. But then afterwards, I was like, okay, just bad day. Few things going on. You're fine. But the drive now is very much from these guys. It's and seeing that self improvement in such a short time. It's actually the self belief of like, oh no, I can definitely do this. Like I can definitely go away and go to championships and go abroad. And now just the love for it has just grown more than ever. Like I actually just love the sport.
It's interesting because I remember when I just to talk about me for a little bit. When I took up triathlon, I was a very good swimmer when I was younger, and I could run a bit because I've been doing marathons and ultras and things. And but triathlon, I wasn't that great. But when I joined the local club, I got the nickname Captain Slow because I was so bad. And I was like, I don't like this. I don't like being called Captain Slow. Not that's not who I am. I'm an achiever and an overachiever, and I have reasons for it. And because I surrounded myself with better athletes, I had to raise my game in all aspects: cycling, swimming, running, mindset, nutrition, sleep, everything. And I think if you're in that coliseum with the best, you can't be sweeping up and hoping you're going to get,
No,
dragged along and maybe throw a couple. You've got to bring your game and raise your game.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think great advice for people: go and join clubs where there's much better players and take the humiliation and take the battering and take just develop and change your game, raise your game.
Yeah, because I don't even think it's just because you that point there was actually really good because I was going to say it's not just asking good people to play with you because it's not just about playing with these players. It's about getting beaten by these players. It's about a game of singles where you're getting battered every game, or a doubles and you're getting battered every game. And it's like, okay, what are they doing that's so different to what I'm doing? And then you learn that. You learn the tactics as well, the different ways of playing the game. And then obviously when you get to that next level, ask everyone that you want to play with and you want to improve from. But yeah, I think joining other clubs and playing against better players consistently is what really elevates your game. I think that is also not to bash England, but I think that's why we struggle to compete with the top countries because their bad players are still so good. They don't have bad players. You can win some games in England making two ball count and end. There's no way you're going to do that at these top countries. You do not have the chance. So yeah, that's why we always talk about going abroad. As much as we might class ourselves as the top in England, there's still so many more levels above us and levels that we can grow as players. And we've said like a lot that the way we've really kind of got to do that is by going abroad. We've got to play as much as we can internationally, and then when we come back to England, try and not let that level drop. You've got to try and be relentless almost. Try and every ball matters, every ball counts. You've got to have kind of that killer mentality in a way.
I think hopefully you've seen some of the videos that I posted this year because I've been to France a hell of a lot just playing, but also filming. And the quality level is through the roof. I went to a veterans in Glion, and the average age was 78. I mean, that was the average age, and some of them were in their 90s, and they were absolutely incredible. But in other competitions, they're having a bit of a laugh and a joke and a drink of wine and some food. These old boys were lying down to go to sleep because
Yeah.
but but the dedication and the ability was outstanding, and it blew my mind. Even Juniors, uh, the
Absolutely.
juniors are
The,
so good.
the reality check for me was my first championships as a junior was in China. And obviously you've been selected, you're going to a worlds, and in my head I'm thinking, yeah, I'm good. Like, I'm actually really good. I'm going to school and I'm like, yeah, I'm about to go to China. Like, I'm insane. I'm really good. And we got there, and I remember the Madagascan team, they're all like, they're like this tall. They're tiny compared to us. They turn up, bang, 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 bang. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, I'm nowhere near this level. I'm not who I thought I was, kind of thing. And it does open your eyes. You see these top countries, and you think, wow, okay, that's what I've got to try and aim to be. Fair enough.
Well, look, you're in the right household for
Mm.
it, surrounded
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
right players, and you just need, if I may, as you say, go abroad, go to France. You're not far. Kent is so close. I'm going to Amiens this weekend to film solely in the National. I'm not playing. I'm just going overnight ferry tonight, film all day tomorrow, overnight ferry back. I'll be battered on Monday, but I'll learn. I'll learn and I'll film and I'll document and I'll talk and I'll deduce and understand because the game is not only the ability to throw, but as you know, it's the ability to deal with the biggest opponent in here.
100%,
Yeah,
100%.
it's so long-term goals because literally only 20 years of play. But you've
Long
risen
term,
through it from juniors to espoirs to now nationals for seniors.
long term goals now, definitely championships, of course. Like, I'd love for next year to go to the Worlds, obviously, when we qualify, hopefully. But to go to the Worlds, I'd love multiple, obviously, championships. One of everything would be great, a few of everything would be great. Um, but the actual legacy side of things, to compete, not just to go to a championships. Like going to a championship is great, but if you're just going to get battered, it's not what you go there to do. You want to go and compete. And I think we do have the ability. It's just the lack of competitive petanque. So, and this what brings on to my other legacy thing that I want. And this has only recently been a massive thing in my head of wanting to be involved in it. But being a part of the team or people that really get a baller drone built in England. I think after seeing the juniors raise over 4 grand at regionals, that kind of opened my mind to thinking, well, why couldn't we have fundraisers at every event and it go towards a baller drone, and whether that be £5, £10, £2, like money's money. And if every region kind of chipped in, or the regions that wanted a baller drone chipped in and really focused on, okay, no, we're going to get this done so that over the winter everyone can play. Obviously, you would have to think about where we put it, but that's another discussion for the time kind of thing. But if we want to compete, that needs to almost be the number one priority in my eyes. I can't think of anything else other than that. You see these other countries like the Netherlands that are now starting to actually really compete. They're getting medals. They're beating France. They're doing this stuff. I always remember in the past, people are like, "Oh, we're not that far away from them. We're not that far away from them. They're beatable," and they are. Everyone's beatable. But if you look at their results compared to ours of recent times, like they also have. I remember me and Jay went to the Esquires and we're talking to them about baller drones, and I thought the guy at the time said, "Oh yeah, we've got 18," and I was like, "18 baller drones and we don't even have one," and he went, "No, no, 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 80, 880." I'm like, "You've got 80 baller drones and we don't have a single one." The closest thing we have is like Gravesend, which is a little shelter, or obviously the orange tree in Baldock has a little cover, but that's free terrains that barely reaches 10 meters. Like it's quite embarrassing. It's a thing of like if we want to compete with these other countries, a baller drum has to be the number one priority in my eyes. So I would quite like to be now a part of that kind of drive to make that a thing, make that happen. Being a young player that would love to play this sport, hopefully to the day I die, kind of thing. I think the baller drum is something that's needed. So that's a part of the legacy that I would actually like to leave, not just the championships and the glory and all of that, but promote, like with you with these podcasts, promoting the sport, making it a bigger thing. A ballerdrome could be used for everyone. It's not just petanque players. It could be used for the public to come and learn about petanque. You could turn it into something much bigger.
And
But
as
yeah,
you guys have done, Duke of Edinburgh, things like that, corporate events, whatever it might be, and here's it. I go to France so often; it's almost literally every weekend, and every single town, no matter they've all got a boulodrome, and the French government get behind them and they say, if you build it, we'll fund some of it as long as we can put solar panels on the roof.
yeah. I
Different
mean,
way of thinking.
it hurts the heart a little bit. I know Jason before has wrote letters to like Kent Council and people like that, and obviously I understand England isn't in the greatest position at the minute when it comes to money and things like that. But the thing, especially petanque in general, petanque is for anyone. You could be in a wheelchair, you could be 90 years old, you could be a 5-year-old kid, you could be a young teenager who's having a lot of problems. Like, I know that if it wasn't for petanque, I probably wouldn't be alive. I wouldn't be anywhere near as good of a human being as I think I am. I think I could have been quite a troubled teenager. I know Jason, when he was younger, was quite a naughty kid, and then Dean and that got him into petanque, and now he's a well-respected man. Like he's not a bad guy. I think we work in a Pru. I would love it if we could build a terrain at our school and have some of these kids, because even if you just get one, that could be one kid's life you've saved from going down a very very different route. And I think that's kind of the approach that we maybe need to go through with councils or whoever would be involved. That you could do an OAP night, you could have leagues for old people in care homes, people that just need to get out, lonely people. Mental health is a massive thing around the world and in England, especially young men, young women, anyone. Like I think there's a big market for something that could be great from a baller drone.
I think maybe the indoor ball might the sets that you can buy they're a little pricey for but if they were to come down or we could get a deal that might help facilitate things like that. I have my own ideas. We'll discuss them another time about different things and how to help promote the sport and to accelerate it along. But it's obviously that's your legacy that you'd like to leave, which is it's really admirable. And I can see the determination in the Scottish, guys. They are driving the sport with intensity. They're traveling. You've got other people in other regions doing holidays, and Kent is obviously, and Chiltern are obviously always very good. The Welsh guys will travel thousands of miles just to go and play in a tournament, and so there's no doubting the passion and the drive and the determination. Funneling that into delivering a boulodrome, it doesn't have to be. I mean, the Volvoland one I've gone into, they've got multiple change rooms, they've got beautiful showers, toilets, wonderful bar, amazing like places where you can sit above the terrains and watch all the filming facilities. But that's state of the art. We just need a barn, really,
Yeah,
just to start with.
honestly, just to start with, just anything,
Yeah.
absolutely anything.
Well,
Yeah,
you see, when they go into like you saw in Italy recently, where they've just gone in, and also in the interregionals, where you transform basically what is a car park or a tarmac into a terrain, and it's not perfect, but it does the job. And I think there is a need for that. So so yeah, I mean, obviously discovered even and talked about long-term goals for you. Is there a specific achievement goal? Because I discussed this with Jason, and obviously Jason has come from a young, he still is quite young, and achieved a number of things. He has set goals for his shooting and for his achievements. Do you have similar things?
not as intense as Jason. I think Jason's been obsessed with petanque for since he started. My obsession per se has only recently come about, so I'm still kind of working out my things. But something like a medal at championships would be unbelievable. It'd be unbelievable just in general. That would be wow. But I think for me, it would also just be to be a player that can go to these places and that other countries recognize and be like, "Well, he's not going to be a walkover. Yeah, it may be England, but no, he's good. He's someone that we need to be careful of, kind of thing. I think that would be a really good thing. Obviously, we've gone to like Sweden and met Ivar, and through ball bar, I've been around Ivar, and over there they call him the French killer and things like that. And you can see his kind of aura in a way of like, okay, he is a very top player. When you look at like Case, top player, Jesus, top player, and like in my eyes, you look at Jason in England, and yeah, okay, you actually compete. You're a top shooter. So I would like to kind of be in that kind of thing of going to these championships and people knowing, oh no, this guy can play Petanque. Yeah.
It's interesting because we actually have an advantage, bizarrely, and I've discussed this with Steve Dakin and various others on these chats, these interviews. We go to France and they go, "Oh, it's just the English."
England. Yeah, yeah.
And then the expectation is they're going to thrash us, so they almost take the foot off the accelerator, and then we come in and bang, 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 and play really well, and they go, "Oh, sugar, we could lose to the English," and then it's a different pressure that is on their shoulders that we don't have because there's no expectation.
When
So
when me, Jane Dean went to Belgium, not Belgium, Berlin this year with Martin Hughes, the triples, like we were insane. We actually were phenomenal, and I played like some really good petanque at an international level, and was really happy with how I played. But one of the games we played this, they're like the best team in Germany. That's what all the people there were saying. One of the guys is French. Is they're the best team in Berlin, and it was a bit of a slow game, really tight, bit kind of whatever, it's back and forth. And then people in the crowd were saying, "Oh, you can't lose to the English. You can't lose to the English." And you could see that little bit more of pressure, like, "Oh no, we actually might lose this." And we did end up beating them. And they were a little bit rude, and they kind of like stropped off a little bit. And that feeling of like, yeah, we are English, but we can play ball as well. And that was like a bit of a thrilling moment for sure.
it is a little extra advantage
Mm.
that people don't think about that we need to exploit in the UK. You go abroad, people don't think you're going to be any good. so, so in terms of training and preparation, obviously you've got a piece, I believe, in the back garden. You know, you're training with the guys and the girls a lot. You're playing with Meadow, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Meadow for Euro Cup. Yeah, yeah. And with the Railway just in league. But that's like obviously got
Yeah.
Steve Golder, Faye Golder, Pete, and people like that. The thing
So what
is,
does
where
it
we
look like?
play
What's normal?
normal for us, so day to day, like if there's not like a big competition coming up, we'll play every single weekend near enough. Obviously, the calendar's very busy. When it gets to that summertime, it's Saturday, Sunday kind of thing. League on a Wednesday. And then if I'm being honest, like sometimes if it's before the rankings, before the big stuff, we're practicing every day, like 100%. If it's after work, whether it be on the way from work, we go to Gravesend, or we come home and we play in the garden, whether it be 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, we'll be practicing. I don't particularly like playing every single day. I think the way my brain works, I don't know if it's a little bit ADHD or what, but I could doing the same thing too often, my brain gets overloaded and I think, oh, no, I need a break. So during the week, a lot of the time, I won't actually practice that much. I think there is a thing to be said for me of overplaying in my own game. Um, I need to like, yeah, I think I need little breaks from things. So unless it's a big competition, I don't practice too much in the week, or it will be just loosening up the arm, throwing a little bit. My main thing for me is clear mind, clear mindset, having that preparation for okay, there's a big thing coming up. Am I mentally good, kind of thing.
So what does your mental gym look like?
Oh, if I've got something like I think through therapy, through counseling, I've learned when I'm not feeling good, or I have kind of learnt what my emotions are, what my triggers are, what those things are. I find talking is my biggest thing. If I've got stuff going on, just talk, let it out, whether it be to Tanya, to Dean, to Jay, someone at work. Like I'm a pretty open book. I'm willing to talk to anyone. Like I love talking. When it comes to personal, like big things, I think it's great human connection when you're actually willing to talk about the dark things in your head sometimes. So yeah, I think talking for me, letting that stuff out, and then being just enjoying it. I know I've said it a lot, but I kind of get excited now for Petanque. There was a time where I thought, oh God, I've got Petanque this weekend. Now it's more of a thing of like, oh, we've got a big competition on this weekend. Like it's going to be good. We're going to do well. And I think a little bit of manifesting. I know Jay likes to manifest, and I've started doing that a little bit myself. Kind of like, okay, you're not just gonna. I used to be like, oh, getting into the gold would be great. No, 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 no. I'm winning this weekend. I'm gonna be winning this weekend. If I'm not playing with Jay, it's gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna beat Jay this weekend. We're gonna hopefully be in the final, and I'm gonna play really well. And it's those things. It's kind of telling myself, yeah, we're gonna do well. We're gonna do this, and that's kind of my mental preparation thing. Nothing
So
too big, nothing too serious, but
yeah,
yeah.
manifesting is one thing. Visualization and mind mapping and mind movies. I talk a lot about it in the mental game that I've got on the series at the moment. And if you can embrace that and see the games before they've even happened, that takes manifesting to another level that is through the roof. It's not easy. One of the good things is that you are equipped far greater than almost anyone that I know because of what you've been through and your ability to transmute and to discuss and to accept and to move forward. So that gives you a huge advantage because of the self-awareness that you have. Triggers, whether it's another opponent, whether it's a style of play, whether you're getting bored, whether it is there anything that you do subconsciously or consciously from that life experience that you've used and utilized in the game?
Um, Funny enough, I've done it before Euro Cup. It must have been last year when it was in Leicester. Obviously, I have a lot of like trauma from being in Leicester. Like people that know will know. If anyone wanted to ask questions, I'd happily talk to you about it. But going there, I used to go to that place with said person. So it's a thing of like, okay, I'm here to think about the song and I'm not thinking about the song. So I find it if I feel like that, I literally moved myself from the area, sat on a bench on my own for a little bit, kind of looked up at the sky and thought like, look at where you were, look at where you are. Like, don't let any of that stuff. That doesn't matter anymore. Like, you are so much stronger than that. So there, and then that weekend I won every game and was like, I felt amazing. So I think sometimes just talking to myself and being aware of my thoughts and my feelings and not letting anything eat me up. Like just kind of self-talking of like, no, you're okay. In games, I've had it where that little bit of self-doubt creeps in. You've missed a few shots, and it's like, okay, come on now, don't be a dick. And it's like I kind of step back a little bit, big deep breath, kind of, all right, you're all right. Next shot, next shot. Don't worry about that. It's the next shot now, kind of thing.
It's the only thing that counts is
Yeah, the
being
next
in that
shot.
moment straight there because there are ghosts all around us, the ghosts of the past, the future ghosts, ones we've created in our minds. And I know for me, every time I come to this particular store, there's a ghost less than 50 meters away from me. But if I let that affect me, and I had to learn how to deal with that, I had to learn because it's not easy. Fully empathize with you. But it makes us stronger
Hmm.
and it builds the resilience and the shell that is protective. It it leads me on to, pressure because you've been under pressure in all manner of areas of life, and there's pressure in games. How do you handle it? What strategies, tools, techniques, tips have you got?
Um, I think one of my biggest things in Petanque is routine. I think having a routine is very key. My pointing routine is different to my shooting routine, there's very, very rare that when I point, I won't go down and fill in a pitch mark because I think from being a junior and having that installed into my brain, having my dad tell me to do that, having Steve tell me to do that, that is my routine. I'll walk down. I might even want to land there, but if it's in the way, I'm gonna get out of the way. A little cheeky tactic I do. Sometimes I'm normally doing more than one. I'll be stepping back and my foot might be going a little bit as well because it'd be okay, get a couple extra in there. But I think for me, getting in that mindset of when there's pressure, if you're used to doing a routine, don't let that go out the window because there's a bit of pressure. Do the same thing. I find with the shooting, and this is something like again I've learned from Jason and Steve Dakin as well, that taking that extra breath before a big shot. Don't let your emotions get ahead of you. I remember in the past I've had it where like it might be two shots for game, and I bang the first one and it's perfect spotter or great carrow, and oh now the adrenaline's pumping, and now it's like oh okay I've got this big shot, but oh, way over the top, way short, and it's like oh, okay the first one was great, but it's all for nothing now. Like at the end of the day, it's all for nothing. What have you done? And I think it's just taking that extra breath. Go do your routine, feel comfortable, but okay. And then clear mind, step in the circle, do what you got to do. It's the same thing. You threw, we've thrown thousands of ball. How many times have you thrown a petanque ball in your life? You know your body knows what to do. It's just about being relaxed before you do it. And I think taking that extra little bit of time when it's that bit of pressure is what I think helps me. But following the routine, still follow that the same routine, but just do it.
So with that routine and with what you've just described, can you describe your finest shot and your proudest moment in the game?
Oh, see, I really struggle with this. I don't I don't think I have a proudest shot. There's many a times that I've hit like a perfect spot or made a perfect rester, key games. I think my proudest moment, proudest moment, I don't know. Qualifying for Euro Cup was really great. I mean, winning the regionals, even though it's like doesn't compare to some stuff like qualifying, the passion is great. I remember one of my most memorable shots wasn't even mine, and it was actually Emma Coggins when Chilton won the regionals. My last year playing with Chilton, and it come down to the last game, to the last shot. She hit this perfect carrow, and she'd had a lot of stuff going on in her life, and the emotion from everyone. It was an incredible feeling. And even like the previous regionals, obviously like playing for Kent, and we've won it for the first time in 10 years. I remember the passion when I'm playing on the terrain. Me and Dean are like two kids. We're shouting and we're cheering like after every ball nearly, and the passion was really there. Um, but personal proudest shots, I think it goes on to the same as probably my most memorable game. Back again, first ever championships, China, and we're playing against China in this massive park, and it's really late at night. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and we've got all of these people watching us in a really like it is China. It is China. There's no white people there other than the people that are playing petanque. Like it's so it's all Chinese people, and they're all watching us. And after every shot, the Chinese are shouting "Hacha, Hacha," even if it's rubbish. If it's a bad ball, they're still screaming "Hacha." And we're like 12-1 down, and I'm on the bench, and Scott like said to me, no, you need to come on, like just before they're about to lose this other, and he's like, you need to go get your ball, come on. With 12-1 down, something like that, the whistle goes, so we play that end and two more, and we won. And I
What?
remember, I pointed the last ball. I come on and I was like, guys, like we're gonna win this. We're gonna win this. And after every ball we play and it's good, and after every ball they play and it's bad, you can see they've gone from being like everyone in the crowd is smiling to like a straight face to then like almost kind of anger, like what is going on. And I remember I pointed in the last ball to win the game, and that feeling that it was like a buzz of electric around my whole body of like, how on earth have we just won this? That I'll never forget. I'll never forget that feeling.
Do you know, I think just that story alone, for those people who say, oh, I was 12-1 down, I was never going to come back from it. And wow.
Yeah. No, that's definitely my most memorable moment of a Petanque game. Yeah.
What did you learn from that?
Oh, to like never give up. I think me and Scott were sat there and we're debating, oh, when do I come on? When do I come on? When do I come on? And it was like kind of thing of it's never too late. Like we always say, well, 12-1 down, when are you ever going to really make a sub at 12-1 down? But we did it and it worked, and just not giving up. And I think, oh yeah, just I don't know, the feeling was next level. It was definitely next level.
I think it's interesting because it's never over until a team hits 13.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, I remember I was chatting to my mum, and she remembers a game a triples in the Bucks where it was myself, herself, and Gimpy. You remember Gimpy, I'm sure. We were 10-0 down against your dad, and it was the three Steves at the time, or his stepdad, so I should have
Yeah,
said.
yeah,
They were 10-0 up, and we did not give up. We just like, so what if you're 10-0 up? And
yeah.
we just, as soon as we got a point, then we got a couple more, and we got a couple more. Next thing, we won the whole tournament 13-10 at
I
the Buck.
I won my first ever competition at the Buck, and it was with Steve and Sam Blakey against I think it was Matt Everston, Tom, I can't remember his second name, and Miles, I think. And can't remember how young I was, but I remember in particular Steve and Sam just playing absolutely spectacular. Steve back then in my eyes was like my hero of Petanque. I don't think obviously I love my dad as well for sure. In East Midlands, dad's an absolute legend. But dad was like out and out shooter. Steve was an absolute wacko. Steve would tell me, oh, I'm going to lob this ball with this bit of spin. It's going to go there and it's going to do this. And somehow it just worked. And I'd think, how have you done that? I think he reads the game of Petanque so different to anyone else. He has his own mind when it comes to Petanque. And I'll always respect and love Steve for that.
Steve has his own demons that he's dealing with and has dealt with. And I played, I remember he basically started playing the same time as me. And to see his progression in the game and how he was so involved in helping young players like yourself and still is very interested in helping, still has a passion for the game and sees it in a different way. And I think here's the thing, the game's full of characters. Some are more palatable than others, and some are more controversial than others. But it is just like life. There is good, bad, indifferent, annoying, funny, crazy people. Steve was one of those characters, still is. So,
Definitely, definitely. Oh
um,
my God, he's a nightmare, but I do adore him. And if it wasn't for Steve, I don't think I'd have the outlook on Baton that I do. Like from such a young age, taking me to the pub and being around people like Andy Goodship, who was just a good guy. Like he once again had his demons. He was a good human being, a funny guy. Being around all the youngsters and seeing their progression, like Ross Jones, Jack, Reese, Sam, all of them. Steve obviously brought all of them up playing the sport and see where they are now. Obviously, top players in England, kind of thing. And I think, yeah, definitely an underappreciated guy, but who is also an absolute nightmare. Yeah,
flawed individual, but
yeah,
we've all got our shadows, we've
yeah.
all got our darkness, and it's so resilience and challenges. I was talking to Dean earlier, obviously, about difficulties he's had and the difficulties you've had, and you've obviously overcome them, and we won't sort of get into that too much more, but it's it's made you the player that you are today. You're not going to recommend it to someone, but that's for sure.
I
But
know.
and how do you turn a challenge into what what lessons have you learned? A problem into a possibility.
Um, I think yeah, I think the thing with life, everyone goes through their own things, whether it be big or small to someone else. Like what Jeff down the road's been through, who he might have, his parents might have been split up, he might have been through whatever else, or you might have another guy who's lived his whole life in a perfect house with loads of money. They've still only been through the worst thing they've been through. Their emotions, everyone's emotions are still, it's the hardest thing they've been through. I've been through quite a lot for someone my age, and it's definitely made me stronger from it. But everyone has their own demons, like you said, has their own problems. I think it's just accepting that and not letting that be your life. I realized like going through all of my things, like a lot of childhood trauma, then the drugs and things like that, there was a moment that clicked in my life where I said to myself, like, you either let this carry you for the rest of your life, you let this be what your life is, this depression, this. bag of worry, there's all these little things, or you use it and you work through it and you kind of take hold of that and you take hold of your life and you kind of, I don't know, you use it as fuel almost. And I think for me, that was what I did. I realized I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to have all of these problems constantly going on in my head. And I knew there was something I had to do about it. Um, Obviously, it's like drugs and other things. People are drinkers, or and even if it's not that, just childhood traumas. People have loads of different stuff going on. I'm a massive advocate for talking. If anyone had stuff that they wanted to talk to me about, I'd 100% be willing to listen because I know for me that has been the biggest thing that saved my life. It's talking. It's talking to the people in this house. It's talking to my family. It's talking to strangers. It's just talking, whether it be, oh, I'm worried about my job, or oh, I had a miscarriage, I was raped, I was whatever it be, big, small. I quit my job the other day and I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, no matter what it is, just talk about it. Don't let it build up in your head and just take over your life because that's what I think leads to everyone killing themselves or being depressed or being really low. Of course, you're allowed to be sad. Don't get me wrong. This is what I think a lot of people get confused with being sad and being depressed. Like, if your granddad dies or your mum dies, be sad. Like, of course, be sad. If your dog dies, be sad. Like, it's an emotion you're allowed to feel, and no doubt you're going to be quote unquote depressed for a little while, but don't let that then be the end of your life. Like, because of these things, you've got to move. Not It's not as easy to say to move on from them, but you've got to learn to deal with them. Otherwise, it will just eat you up and eat you up and eat you up. Talk about it. Talk about it to your friends. Talk about it to therapists, phone calls, anyone. For me, I think talking is what's got me through these dark times and these dark pasts and these challenges. It's talking to people, connecting with people, and then taking life kind of by the balls and using it as fuel to be like, no, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna live the life I want to live, and yeah, that's how I would say I've kind of built my resilience.
I think that's hugely inspirational. Hugely.
Thanks, mate.
Hmm. Here's the thing. We all have choices and we make them every day. And choices have consequences. And you have made some choices that have not necessarily been right for you. Some things have been forced on you, of course, and others you would never choose to have happen to you. And it's it's the fuel that you've taken from those that has made this conversation so inspirational for me, and I'm sure for many others. And this is where the whole analogy of Petanque's life all mixes and meshes together, because there's teamwork in the game and then there's teamwork in life, and you're gifted with having the right team around you, whether it's counselors, players that you play with, family, friends. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely, and the world of Petanque, like there's so many people in Petanque that have helped me, whether it just be from one conversation that they wouldn't have even realized the impact it's had. Like, and I know I would like to think that I've had the same thing for other people. Obviously, like working in a Peru, I think I've had impacts on children's lives just from conversations with them. I think there's people at Petanque that have talked to me and opened up to me that I would like to think I've helped their lives in a way. And I think the world of Petanque, there's so many of us that are just good people. And there's so many of us that have these life problems or like we should just be a bit more of a community. And I think Petanque has that. It has that community feel to it. Obviously, you have the few people that you don't get on with, and that's life. That is life. There's people at work that I don't like. There's kids at work I don't particularly like, but you have to get on with them. You have to help them. Like, and I think that's another thing. Just because you don't like someone they're still going through stuff. You're still going through stuff. I think being the bigger person in a lot of things, for me, I just kind of I brush a lot of stuff off. If I don't like someone, I either just won't talk to you, or I'll just kind of put up with you. Like, and that's just how it is. I'm not someone that really likes to start problems or cause issues. I just don't really see the point in it. I think life's too short, and there's too many bigger problems in life to be dealing with little skirmishes over little petty stuff,
Such as throwing a bad ball
such as
or
throwing a
getting
bad ball.
lucky.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But I think that's a thing. Like we were saying about you saying about teamwork. I think for me, one of the biggest things in Petanque is like the team. Obviously, if I'm playing in a team and the person I'm playing with is putting me down because I've thrown a bad ball, probably not going to play with you again. Because in my eyes, I'm not coming here for you to just bash me. I'm not coming here for you to just be like rude because I've thrown a bad ball. I've thrown a bit of metal slightly wrong, and it may have caused us to lose a game. But no, that's not what I'm here to do, kind of thing.
Well, we beat each other up enough
Yeah,
without
exactly,
saying, "Come on,
exactly. Yeah,
give me some of yours as well."
yeah.
You've had a variety of teams, and I know you played with some top players, Nick Baxter. You played with Jez. You played, obviously teams that you're with at the moment. What do you value in a teammate?
um, Trust. I think up to okay. I think this is there's multiple things to this. So I think it depends on what kind of petanque you're trying to play. If you're trying to play to enjoy and have a laugh, then I'll be looking at like close friends who I'm just enjoying the day with. I'm not worried about winning. Well, always worried about winning. Don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean. It's not. I'm not there for just the sole purposes. I'm not trying to qualify for England. We're having a nice Sunday out. Might have a couple drinks, and it's just about having a laugh and fun. So that I'd probably pick a very different team to what I would if a competing team. A competing team, I'm looking at more someone I can rely on, someone I have belief in, someone that I think, okay, if you need to make this point count, are you actually going to be able to do it? Because once you have that, once you have a shooter that you know can shoot and a pointer you know can point, being in the middle, I'm a lot more relaxed. I think, okay, I can just worry about me. I think that's a big thing in Baton. If you could play in a team where you rely on your players and you're the only one you have to worry about, you're going to play way better. When you start having to worry about thinking, oh, is my pointer actually going to beat this ball? Is my shooter actually going to hit this ball? Then you're worrying about things that you shouldn't need to be worrying about. So for my thing of competitive petanque, some people you can rely on. Um, like I said before, people that aren't this is my biggest thing actually. I hate players that are rude to the opponents. I'm not a fan of for when it's for no reason. Say the opposition has done something wrong and you want to kind of give it to them a little bit. I understand that. If they're being in the wrong and you're standing up for yourself, I get it. I've played with people before and they're just outright rude to the opponent. And in my head, that puts me off. It really puts me off. I'm thinking, why are you doing that then? There's no need for you to be an asshole to them. If the opposition want to be an asshole to me, I don't really care. Do it. It's all part of the game. Like if you want to be like that, be like that. But I struggle when my own team are being rude for no reason because I think I'm quite a sportsman in the game. Don't get me wrong. There's probably people that might say that I'm not. I can be a bit loud sometimes if I hit a nice shot. I think that's more the passion than anything. I don't think I'm a rude player. Um, so yeah, teammates aren't rude and passion, passion. If you're there and you want to win, a passionate team. I love playing with Dean. Like at the regionals, we were literally just cheering and everything. It was so fun to get that like buzz. Um, Another one that like I think Jeremy's very easy to play with. Jeremy's very relaxing. He bit of a laugh, even in that competitive state, to be able to still have a laugh and a joke. I think that's good because what we're saying about the enjoyable side, it's not always good when it's just serious, 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 serious. Because it gets to a point that well, we're being really serious and now we're losing. What do I do now? I think you need to have that enjoyable mix with the seriousness, and that's how you get the best out of my team. I think.
So your current position, shall we say, middle,
Yeah,
would that be correct?
yeah, I would say so. Don't like. I wouldn't say I'm a shooting specialist, and I wouldn't say I'm a pointing specialist. I can definitely play in both positions and would do a good enough job. Don't get me wrong, but I think I went from being more of a point in middle as a junior to now I would probably say more of a shooting middle. I probably feel it more comfortable at the minute with the shot than I do the point because I seem to be shooting more, whether it be the aggressive tactics we play or in a team I might be shooting because obviously I've got a lot better at my shooting. But my favorite position definitely in the middle. I love that the different shots. I love being able to do like a resting point or a really important point to save an end or to hit a ball for five or things like that. There, those pressure kind of balls, I do like that. I like those moments.
I often feel that it is the middle that decides an end or a game because the pointer will often point two and the shooter will shoot two, and then the middle is dumped in it straight in the arena of right. I have to make the ball count. How do you? How? I'm really curious for you because obviously you're achieving this at a great level. How do you? How does your mind work when you step into the circle and you go, Christ, I haven't shot for 3 games, and suddenly I've got to shoot this 10-meter shot
Yeah.
and it's win or lose, and oh my God, and everyone's watching and
I think of recent times my mentality has changed because before, when I would say I was more of like a point in middle, I'd be a bit more like, oh fucking hell, I haven't shot in ages. Oh come on, don't be an idiot, don't be an idiot. Whereas now, if it was a situation like that, I'd be thinking, oh, finally, finally, I've got a shot. I'm like, okay, this is the one that counts. Let's do this kind of thing and be a bit more like positive. And yeah,
that's good. It's a great way of flipping the mind. Just instead of saying, "Oh, I haven't shot all game," it's great. I get to shoot now.
there was
It's
a
a
few times
simple thing.
on the weekend at regionals, like we obviously had Federico shooting for us. And I think the first like 2 or 3 games, I maybe only had 2 or 3 shots. There wasn't many shots the way the ends were planning out and things like that. And I was like, oh, come on, like, we need to play a bit more aggressive game. I want to loosen my arm up a little bit. I want to have a few shots here
Yeah.
because I think, yeah, hitting a shot's great. I do. Pointing's amazing and everything, and like pulling off resters and those things is great. But there's nothing quite like absolutely smacking the ball out. I don't think for a few points. Yeah,
And you know, as soon as you let it go,
yeah.
you're going, "Here comes a
Yeah,
carrot,
yeah,
baby."
yeah. Yeah, that feeling is pretty immense. I do love that.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to new players? Because obviously, you've given some advice to for younger players, but what I say, I literally just said to Dean, is always listen to the people who are a little bit older. Obviously, you're not, but you're older in the game, but people who've done it, which you obviously have. So you have great advice, not only on life and great awareness, but also in the game, and you've had some great mentors and teachers. What can you extract in a few quick tips and strategies?
Um, oof. I think it's one of those things again, like I said about the team, whether you're looking for like competitive or fun or whatever else. I think it depends what player you want to be. If you see the sport and you think, oh yeah, I really want to get into this. If it's just going to be a Wednesday night just to get out of the house, I don't think so much technique and these things are as important. I think I'd say kind of like what I said to the junior level, more just enjoy it, have fun, and then if you get more into it, get more into it. But for someone that comes about and all of a sudden they're hooked, because you do get that. A lot of people get this Petanque bug. They play it a few times with a friend or a partner, and then all of a sudden, oh, we got Petanque this weekend. Oh, are we playing next weekend? I want to play again. I want to play again. I'd say watch the top players, and I think the biggest thing is learning technique a little bit. I don't think technique is everything. I think a lot of people's techniques aren't particularly like visually good. But even if it comes to like the wrist at the end, or there's certain things that the top players you'll see them all do, like I said about a routine, these kind of things. Because when you're a novice, if you look at a lot of novice players and then you look at a lot of top players, they don't do that. Like the stance is different and the things are different. I think they're little things that in the long term make a massive difference because you don't want to learn bad habits straight away. Um, Tactics are something that will always come. I think tactics are something that are developed through experience. When you're a new player, don't worry about the tactics as much. Learn from the players you're playing against and things like that. And then also position. I think work out kind of what you want to be. You need to be able to do both. It's useless being a shooter and not being able to point, and it's useless being a pointer who can't shoot. Like you need to learn both. And then when you think what you prefer or what you're better at, really work on it and work on it and work on it. But yeah, I think it's still the same as the juniors. I think it's just enjoying it. Enjoying it is the main thing for me. And
I
ask
think with it,
questions. I definitely ask questions. Ask the best players for tips. Dean's. I'm not the most extrovert when it comes to strangers per se. Like I'm an extrovert when it comes to my friends. I'm an extrovert when you get to know me more. When people see me at Petanque and they don't know me, they probably think I'm a little bit more shy. But if you come up to me and you approach me and you ask me to play or ask me for tips, I'm 100% there. Dean is very much extrovert. If we will play a game and he'll be like, "Yeah, I'll help you, I'll help you, I'll help you," and I love that for Dean. I do love Dean for that. But ask the top players for tips, ask them for advice, and the majority will 100% help. You might get the odd few that don't really care, but it's all part of learning.
I think tactics, strategies, all that, and as you say, asking the right players, it's great. I had a an interesting situation recently with a gentleman who asked me, and he said, "Wait, I'm relatively new to the sport, and I want to learn the right tactics, and I've seen this and I've seen that." And I had a situation the other day. He was saying, "And I should have shot, but I've missed 9 out of 10. But I know I should shoot." And I said, "Well, the tactic is only right for your ability." And you're seeing me filming in France and they're shooting everything because that's their ability. If your ability is only hitting 1 out of 10, you probably might not want to
Yeah,
shoot. But
yeah,
if you're not playing
definitely
for anything, go
go
for it.
for it. Yeah, and I'm all for that as well. It's like that level of what are you playing for? If you're having a practice with your friends, I think this a lot with like novice players. I think when you're just having a throw about, if your weakness is shooting, just shoot. It's a practice. It literally doesn't matter. We will always play like point one, shoot two, because it gets you shooting more, it gets you shooting more, it gets you shooting more. Like doing that as a novice, your shooting will automatically get better the more you do it. But if you practice and you're always pointing, and then you go into a game and you're always pointing, but you might have 2 shots a game or maybe 3 shots a game, your shooting's only ever going to be limited to that because you don't do it enough. So yeah,
And if your lob isn't good, just say, all I'm going to do in this game is lob.
lob, absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think for anyone in Petanque, definitely learn how to lob. I think if you're a lady coming into the world of Petanque, definitely learn how to lob. Because I think the women's game, don't get me wrong, like people like Becky can definitely lob. Alex can lob, but the consistency, Becky's lob's incredible, don't get me wrong. But even Alex would admit her consistency with the lob isn't as good. And I think there's definitely a market for the lob game in the women's game. If you can lob a ball, yeah,
And Becky freely admits that a number of years ago, she couldn't lob
yeah,
at all.
yeah,
She had to work on that
yeah, yeah.
game, that aspect of the game. And now she has one of the best crouch lobs, standing lobs
In the country.
in the
Yeah,
country, men and women.
yeah, yeah.
Superb. And to come from a low level, in her opinion, to a very high level, and to be bringing it in the worlds and everything, it just shows with the right application, the right mindset and dedication, just like with you, you can achieve these things. So
Yeah.
it's, so um, just a little secret tip, just whisper in my ear.
Secret tip. To be fair, it's the same as pretty much I've said all podcast. I think for me it is the mindset thing. I think it's sorting this out up here. You'll realize how quickly your game will elevate. I've realized it personally from the end of last season to this season, getting over my biggest trauma during the winter from September to the winter. My first game back with Dean, we were unbelievable. And I was like, okay, who is this? I was like, now I know that last year I improved a lot in terms of ability, but I still had those little blips of headspace from day one of this season to the end. I've only had a couple of times where I felt, oh, I'm not up to scratch. The rest of the time I felt, wow, I'm better than I've ever been. And I think that's all because of the mindset. So definitely sorting this out up here, and you'll see your game elevate.
Yeah. And having self-belief,
Yeah,
because
self-belief, self-confidence.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that only develops through application
Hmm.
and going into the arena and getting battered and wanting to be better. And like Dean was saying in the previous interview, the hatred of losing. Do you have that same?
Yeah, I think more so now that I've got used to winning. Like, oh my God, like, don't get me wrong, everyone hates losing, but I got to a stage a few years ago where I'm happy to get in the gold, and now I'm happy to get in a semi-final. And oh God, if I get into a final, that's amazing. And if I win the day, like, wow. Whereas now it's like, if I'm not winning the day, I'm going to be annoyed. If I get to the final and I lose to, like, losing, I hate losing in general. But obviously, you have the certain people like at the top that you think, okay, it's a bit more respectable to lose, but I still want to beat you. I'm still going to be annoyed at the end of the day if you beat me. And I've kind of got more of that now. Like, even Jason, I think about Jay and I think, oh, I've lost to Jay. Like, he is one of the best. But in my head, I'm like, no, 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 no. I've just lost to Jay and I have to go home and I live with Jay. Or, oh God, I've lost to Dean. Now they're even more unbearable. Like, I think the competition in the household is almost worse than the competition outside of it, because you think, oh no, I have one up on them. When I won the other day with Jack and Callum, it was that feeling of like, oh, I've won. I'm the king of the house for the week. It's that kind of feeling.
That's brilliant. I like to talk about books and podcasts and all sorts of things. And there's a very good book, The Weight of Gold, and it talks about Olympic athletes. And the weight of gold is literally all about the expectations and everything. But one specific thing, that tiny bit of advice for you. Many people dream of becoming Olympians, and their whole life is focused. I'm going to be an Olympian. I'm going to be Olympian, and they get there, but they don't actually think beyond actually becoming an Olympian. Whereas the real champions, Michael Phelps, all of people like that, their sole focus was, I am going to win gold at the Olympics. It's so different. And bronze, the difference between gold, silver, and bronze was like, the bronze medalists were saying, I never expected to get this far. This is the best thing ever. The gold medalists were like, I deserve to be here. But the poor people who were in silver medal could not cope, because they were like, I am the second best person in the world, but I wasn't good enough. And they would go into deep spirals of depression. And also, the people who won gold, they didn't have anything to go for
Chase for.
afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah, yeah.
So, when specifically, one of my questions to you earlier about is, what are your goals? If they're airy fairy, I just want to get into the main, you'll get into the main. But if you don't have specific things laser focused, you'll just stay around the main.
Mendel. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, definitely. I think that's like the shift in my game in England, especially. It's been that thing of I'm going to competition now expecting to win. I don't want anything else than winning. Obviously, you have times where you might not, or you have games where you lose to a team, and before the game you're going into it thinking, well, I should win this. I definitely should win this. And you might have a poor game, or they could have an exceptional game, or it could just be a really good game of Petanque that you lose. Like, we win lose all the time. Like, it's life and it's Petanque. And I don't I hate losing, but I don't particularly mind losing a game if I can walk out of it afterwards and be like, well, they were exceptional and I played really hard. Like, I didn't just let them beat me. I didn't cower away and let them destroy me. Like, I've really tried my hardest. Those games I can take on the chin and kind of be like, okay, yeah. The ones that really hurt are the ones when it's your fault. If you've missed that shot for game, or you've messed up a point to save the game, then ones for me hurt a bit more, because I'm like, Could have been different. It could have been different. They're the ones that I struggle with on a
I
personal
think
level.
that's a mindset twist as well, because is it, it's not your fault.
No, 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 you're right.
It's just a shot in the process of what might be 200 shots in a game. Sometimes they count more than others. And I remember a very good mentor of mine said to me, it's not how many you hit, it's the ones that you hit. Because some are more important than others, definitely. And I've seen some incredible players. I was playing against a team recently in France, and they were so much better than me, like on another level. And I was like, I don't care, bring it. I'm going to take you down. Eventually, we lost 13-12, and it was a huge controversy. It was very bad tempered game. Not for me. I was having fun. My teammate, he was causing mayhem, and the other team weren't having it. And the umpires all got involved, and there was shouting and screaming, and it was. But I kept smiling. You know, I don't care. But I hit the important ball at the important time and didn't focus on the bad ones. Because that's another thing I was discussing with Dean is with Lanny Basham with winning in mind when he talked about involved with the Olympic team at the time for shooting, and it was we don't ever talk about the misses ever. They've gone, can do nothing about them. We only focus on the good. Where's the next good gonna come from? So just little things. You
Yeah,
can
yeah,
pick up all sorts of stuff from different books, different podcasts, and I'll be introducing different people to them in conversations like this. So things that I've picked up. So obviously you're very immersed with the Petanque family in every aspect, um, and also with your job. And you mentioned a pro, and what is that? Is that your job?
yeah. So I work in a school, a behaviour school. When kids get kicked out of their mainstream, they come to our school. I work with Dean and Jason. Um, Before that, I was like just a driver's mate, worked in a van. Obviously, had my life problems, was a bit of a druggie and all of this. And I had quite a bad relapse, and I told Jay and Dean about it on the way to coming down to Sittingbourne and like playing a competition. Dean was like crying in the car. He was like, "Mate, if you told me you were struggling this much, like we would have come and picked you up," kind of thing. Jason was like, "Mate, I'm not watching you become a druggie again." He said, "Come and live with us. Like we'll get you a job." And I think literally within 2 weeks, I was gone. And I love my job. I absolutely the passion that I have for my job is on par with my passion for Petanque. Like I absolutely love it. Feeling like I make a difference to young kids' lives. They have a lot of traumas, a lot of family problems, things like that. Most of their stuff is out of their control. It's things that's happened to them that's not in their hands, and I can relate to a lot of that stuff. And using my own experiences, I think I really excel at my job. I don't think that I'm not a lazy guy. I'm not a lazy worker. I think I'm really passionate about what I do. So a lot of my energy goes into that. And then on every weekend, a lot of my energy goes into Petanque. So there's not much rest, but I love it.
So how do you balance it all?
Oh, there is no balance in it. I don't think I have a very healthy family work Petanque life. Definitely
You
not.
say you've got a dog.
And I have a dog, yeah. And my dog, yeah, my life is very much not balanced, but I love it. It's exhausting at times, but I do love it. The thing with working in a school as well, obviously, we do get quite long holidays, so that's kind of should be my downtime. But then obviously I have to go see family and a lot of petanque, so even that's not really a break. But I'm young and I love it, so
You know, I think it's good that you realize that because, as you say, sometimes you can't always just keep practicing, that you need to step away. That's your balance without you realizing that it's your balance.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I think because we play so much, practice always helps, don't get me wrong. But it's also what's your focus in the practice. Normally with my practice, I'm just loosening my arm. I don't have a particular drive in practice. I don't know if it's the way my brain works or what, But I find that I'm so much better when it comes to in game than to practice because there's that extra level of focus. I struggle a bit to focus properly in practice. So for me, some of the times it feels like wasted time. Whether like if I really dedicated the time to practice on technique, it'd probably do me quite good. But where my brain is a little bit like I get a little bit distracted sometimes. If I'm practicing, I might start pretending to shoot like someone else. I'll be like, oh, let's shoot left-handed. Let's practice Jay's technique. Let's practice Sophie Ann's technique. And I'm throwing the ball how I don't throw the ball, which to me is then definitely not good. It's definitely not beneficial. So I find that practice for me isn't the be all and end all. But because we play so much, I don't think it's as important. But like I said before as well, if we're going to like a major competition, then we will always practice in the garden together anyway. But
Steve would have been saying practice left-handed.
uh, Steve says to me all the time about like shooting a ball in a circle and the points, and you got a perfect spot as five, hitting it's only one, and yeah, I do. I'd remember a lot of my practices with Steve, even Dad and Steve. I still set up ends. My practice, if I practice on my own, I'll use spare ball and I'll set up ends, and that's something I learned from them, practicing like different scenarios and things like that.
I think it's often overlooked and underappreciated. And one of the things that I'm hoping to do in the future is to put up game situations with maybe a Zoom call and say, right, we're going to freeze this. What would you do? And why? And what would the outcome be? And I think that's personally, I think that would be valuable for people viewing and engaging because you could take five different scenarios and almost you can do it in real life. You can say, right, here's six ball and they're all around. There's the cochonnet. I'm going to try this now. Oh, that didn't come off. Okay, as I expected it. Why don't I try this? Okay, my middle, not so good. Let's try that and rehearse things well in advance. I think it's because hindsight's a great vision, but if you can
Definitely, you can
bring that
visualize it.
hindsight to you beforehand through rehearsal,
Yeah,
that can really help.
yeah, definitely. They're ways out of how I like to practice on my own. Definitely setting up ends, but like now I don't particularly practice as much. But I think that's a lot of that is also work. It is the work life balance of we leave at like 6:15 in the morning. Don't normally get home till half six. So a lot of the time it's I'm knackered. I need to walk my dog. I need to cook my dinner, and then I need to go to bed. So it's finding that time to practice as well.
But you can also rehearse in your mind.
Yeah, yeah.
The visualization, the rehearsals are, these are great things. And, just literally doing that, whilst walking your dog can be
Oh, I
great.
do it. Like, every time I try on a new piece of clothing, I'm throwing a petanque ball. We had a work event the other day. We had to wear suits, and I said to Dean, I said, "God, imagine playing petanque in a suit." And we're both there, like practicing our technique.
So, favorite brand of ball, make and model, and why?
A bit biased. It'd have to be the ball I've got at the minute, the Odeca Zeus Carbon ones. That obviously it's Jason's sponsor, but I've played my best year at petanque with them, and from when I first got them out the box, I thought the grip on them was lovely, and they didn't have that new ball kind of slip. And yeah, I can't really compare any other ball because it has been my best year of petanque, and I feel comfortable with them. So I'd have to say them.
Brilliant. But you must have had a variety of different sets over the years.
Yeah. My first ball that I personally bought was Toro, and I did like my Toro ball. Don't get me wrong, but at the time, I think I was playing with the wrong size. So my first set of ball were one of Steve's proper old balls. So they were like 74, and I'm like a little junior. And then I got my first set of like Obert ball, and they had my name on, and they were like 650 and a proper junior ball. And then I bought Toros, but they were also 74. And the ball that I now have, or the first set of ball that I bought is 73, and they feel a lot more right for my hands. So yeah,
Brilliant. And we always finish with Dream Team, alive,
dream
dead,
team.
UK and abroad. I always think
Okay,
it's fun.
dream team in England. I'd have to say my team for next year because it's obviously me, Jason, Dean, and Roland. I think in their positions they are the best that we currently have. So to fit into that team and be a part of that team for me is massive. I love them as individuals. I love them as players and stuff like that. So I do feel quite honoured that I'm actually taking Scott's spot. I do appreciate that a lot. Um, I will put in a little like just for fun. My dad and Steve. I think if that could have happened as the player I am now and in their primes, would have been a lot of fun. Somehow I would have probably been pointing. Yeah, I yeah, that would have been a good laugh. And international, I've always loved watching Lacroix. I think Lacroix is just like from pointing to shooting. I love watching him play. And currently like Rizzy, watching Rizzy play, just he's got a lot of passion. I love watching the passion when Rizzy plays as well. So I'd probably say those two. Yeah.
Brilliant. Listen, Kai, it's been my honor. I really mean that. You know,
Thanks,
you're
mate.
a massive inspiration to me and to many others. And, you know, I've been lucky to see you grow and develop and become the fantastic young man that you are. And, you know, look, long may it continue, is all I can say. I'll be there cheering you on every step of the way, whether I'm actually there or behind, because I love to see progress, and you certainly have brought it. So,
Cheers. I
yeah,
appreciate it. I appreciate this as well. The podcast is great and promoting the sport, what you're doing is really good. It's nice to see. So yeah, thanks for having
well,
me on.
we all have a passion. This is one of mine that's been sat around, and someone just said to me one day, "Let's stop whinging, just do it." And I was like, "Okay, I'll do it."
Yeah, nice. It's really good.
So, okay, thanks again, Kai.
Thank you.
We'll no doubt have a chat another time.
Yeah. Cheers,
Cheers,
mate.
buddy.
See ya.
Cheers.